2, 3, and... Well, I guess it all depends on which Textus Receptus you're relying upon. Now, I'm going to be abrupt about this, okay? You know, you had the Latin Vulgate, you know, the Codex Vaticanus, and the Codex Vaticanus primarily, and the Latin Vulgate. And the Latin Vulgate was created by Eusebius, who didn't speak Hebrew. And he was the one that put horns on Moses, among other things. He's the one that created the name Lucifer. He did a number of other things, and things for which he repented, by the way. But that was Eusebius. Now, the Catholic Church took the position, we have these scriptures, you don't get them. And they were teaching that you shouldn't teach your child to read or write as late as 1945. Because we're the church, we'll tell you what it says. You don't need to read it. Well, but that wasn't the practice in Eastern Orthodoxy, where the texts were readily available. And so as a consequence, with the fall of Constantinople, you had the Greek phrases come into the West. Now, the Stephanus Textus Receptus shows that phrase. Where it's missing is in the Westcott and Hort later Textus Receptus of the 19th century. Now, Westcott and Hort, I'm going to tell you point blank, I don't trust their work at all. The reason being is because they relied upon the Codex Sinaiticus. And the Codex Sinaiticus was found in a trash can, and some of its pages had already been burned because the people were using it for the fire. Why? Because they knew it was a forgery, because the guy who forged it was there and told Westcott and Hort, I wrote it. He told them, I wrote it. And yet Westcott and Hort used the Codex Sinaiticus, and they used it to create their own Textus Receptus. Now, their Textus Receptus, so essentially what they did was they wrote the Bible the way they wanted it to read in 66 books in English. Then they created a Greek Textus Receptus that agreed with what they had written in English. And then they passed that off as a quote-unquote Textus Receptus upon which every American Bible is based. The NASB, the ESV, the NIV, all of those are based upon the Westcott and Hort Textus Receptus, which was predicated in part on the Codex Sinaiticus, which was a known forgery. So people say, well, the business about the three in heaven being added and so forth. Well, we found it in the Stephanus Textus Receptus, and as a result, we disagree with that. We believe that the text did appear in the Eastern texts that were there, and it wasn't just added. I'm telling you, there's a lot of forgeries out there. For instance, Westcott and Hort, there are 19 copies of the minutes from the Council of Laodicea. 18 of those, 18, make no reference to how many books should be in the Bible. The 19th, which was in the possession of Westcott and Hort, said that the list was 66 books, which incidentally included Revelation, which was never canonized in the early church. Judith was originally canonized, and the Apocalypse of Peter was canonized, but not the Apocalypse of John. But conveniently, Westcott and Hort had minutes from the Council of Laodicea that did canonize it. So, you're talking about some pretty loose actors that were pretty loosey-goosey with the truth. So, quite frankly, I don't accept those premises. And there are some people who've said, well, this was added, and that was added, and the other thing was added. I listened to a guy preach for a while who said all of the words that are in red supposedly had come from Mashiach were all lies. They were added in there. And the only thing that he ever said was the Our Father prayer. Well, from a policy view at Sefer, we take the position that we're including it, not excluding it. We're including it and not excluding it. And so that's where we have been on that particular verse.